Hey guys, these Nigerian leaders, they don't finish this country. This will shock you. How Gbajabiamila attempted to corner $60 billion and 66 property. Special investigator traced to Sabiu. Sabiu na the former president Muhammad Buhari nephew. He has been on the news recently how they take thief money, they don't loot Nigeria dry. Details emerged at the weekend about how President Bola Tinubu's chief of staff, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, and the new Kabara at the Aso Rock presidential villa, Abuja, allegedly attempted to corner the $30 billion looted funds and the 66 landed choice property traced by the special investigator Jim Obazi to Tunde Sabiu, a former personal assistant to the ex-president Muhammadu Buhari. He is also Buhari's nephew. It was also learned that the presidency, the Kaaba, has intensified its fight against the complete government takeover of the four herring banks seized by the Central Bank of Nigeria early this month by allegedly arranging for their cronies to surreptitiously buy over the affected banks. The former owners of the six banks, it was further learned, are currently negotiating with some highly placed presidency officials on how to retrieve the banks from the CBN through the back door. CBN had on January 10 announced the sack of the management of Union Bank, Titan, Trust Bank, Polaris and Keystone Banks and dissolved their boards in line with the directive of President Bola Tinubu following a report of the special investigator Jim Obaze on the herring banks. The Aso Rock Kaaba, it was learned, had on a number of occasions allegedly concocted lies against the special investigator with the aim of convincing President Tinubu to stop his investigations and eventually sack him. The cabal has also allegedly been shading many of the suspects that should have been interrogated by the Office of the Special Investigator. Competent Aso Rock sources said, if not for the determination, resilience, the courage, and the unwavering devotion to duty exhibited by the special investigator, he and his team would have been unable to retrieve the four banks from their sacked management and dissolved banks. On top, governments and presidency officials were busy hobnobbing and conniving with them and other alleged looters of the nation's commonwealth. Several efforts were also allegedly made by the cabal to prevail on the special investigator to compromise his investigations and reports to the president. The cabal also allegedly instructed the special investigator to report to them first before briefing and presenting his report to the president. Imagine. It was gathered that trouble, however, started when the special investigator uh, refused to be dictated by the Aso Rock Kaba on how to go about his job and who to investigate. The special investigator, it was learnt, refused to take instructions from members of the Kaba, insisting that it is against the presidential directives and mandates given to him by President Tinubu, who appointed him. As a result of the special investigator's refusal to dance to the tone of the Kaba, it was learnt they have ensured that his team of investigators is continuously starved of the necessary funds to enable them to carry out their assignment, contrary to repeated instructions from President Tinubu that their operations should be adequately funded. Meanwhile, competent sources told First News that Sabiu, through his lawyer, had at a recent meeting with the special investigator agreed to refund $30 billion and also forfeit to the federal government 30% of the 66 choice houses and other landed property allegedly traced to him. The special investigator, it was learned, had planned to brief President Tinubu on his return from his trip to France with a view to securing his approval to commence the implementation of the agreement reached with Sabiu. It was, however, learned that when Gbajabiamila gets wind of Sabiu's deal with a special investigator, he allegedly trailed the former presidential aide to the venue of the recent book launch on former President Muhammadu Buhari by his chief spokesperson Femi Adesina in Abuja. President Bola Tinubu also attended the book launch, but the president chief of staff, Gbajabiamila, who was supposed to stay behind at the Aso Rock presidential villa in the absence of his principal, was said to have also headed to the venue of the book launch, where he sought audience with Sabiu, who was also in attendance at the event. Gbajabiamila was said to have the Gbajabiamila was Gbajabiamila was said to have come there and then fixed an appointment with Sabiu for 11 p.m. that night. At the meeting, Sabiu was said to have disclosed to Gbajabiamila his plan to refund the $30 billion loot and also forfeit some landed choice property to the federal government, having reacted on agreement, having reached an agreement with the special investigator. It was further learnt that Gbajabiamila during the meeting instructed Sabiu to henceforth relate with him on the matter instead of the special investigator. Gbajabiamila allegedly also told Sabiu that he had already made recommendations to Tinubu to sack the special investigator, adding that the president had transferred to him the mandate to recover looted funds as well as the landed choice property. Sabiu and his lawyer, who was in company with him at the meeting with Gbajabiamila, were said to have been shocked by Gbajabiamila's utterances and instructions. Sabiu, through his lawyer, later got across to the special investigator to inform him that his client had been instructed by Gbajabiamila not to relate with his office anymore on the recovering of the looted funds and forfeiture of his landed choice property to the federal government, as the president had directed him, Gbajabiamila, to take over the recovering of the looted funds and the forfeiture of the property. So Gbajabiamila then allegedly gave Sabiu and his lawyer a private bank account in which he should deposit the $60 billion. The president chief of staff was said to have also told Sabiu that only 20% of the refunded $30 billion loot will be paid into the federal government coffers, while the remaining 80% will be shared among top government officials, including 7 ministers and some highly placed presidency officials whose list was shown to him. So Sabiu and his lawyer were then said to have called the special investigator to inform him that they could no longer continue any discussion with him on the matter, following Gbajabiamila's instructions that they should no longer relate with his office. The special investigator is said to be currently preparing a report on the developments and which he plans to hand over to President Tinubu on arrival from his trip to France. Meanwhile, a coalition of 259 anti-corruption civil society and human rights society and human rights groups, coalition of transparency and economic reforms, has however called on President Tinubu not to allow anyone no matter how highly placed, to rubbish the credibility already secured for his administration in the international community through the valuable works of the special investigator Jim Obaze. So guys, una dey see, and so these people, they cannot stop until they are stopped. So that is it. I'm dropping it. Kindly share your thoughts below the comment section. Thank you.